As builders are renovating the house, they stumble upon a corpse. However, little do they know that it is not an ordinary corpse. The movie starts when two men are trying to break into an old house to make a new one. While breaking the house down, they find a concrete wall that is different from the other walls. The workers start hammering the concrete wall, and to their surprise, they find an old corpse lying down. They immediately call Hyun Min, who is the owner of the house. Hyun Min rushes to the place where the corpse is laying down. Upon seeing the corpse, he is in shock and keeps staring at it for several seconds. The workers suggest Hyun Min bury the corpse in his family graveyard. Hyun Min declines his workers' offer because he wanted to know who the person is. The scene then cuts to showing us a researcher at the medical center, Dr. Soo-hee. Soo-hee has a date after work with Jae-bom, but she decides not to go because she was informed about the corpse. After reaching where the corpse is, she meets Hyun Min and thinks that he has a familiar face and she has met him before somewhere. The clothes on the corpse tell us that it is a female. The belongings near the corpse are cleaned and taken into custody. When Soo-hee visits the corpse, she feels that she shares a strange connection with the corpse and her eyes start to get teary. She notices that a drop of tear falls from the eye of the corpse, but later realizes that the ceiling is leaking. Soo-hee has been having a dream of a man making a flower on her shoulder for the past year. The number of dreams she gets about the flower, the darker the flower gets on her shoulder. She is unable to understand what is going on and also visits a doctor, but she is also clueless about the situation. In the following scene, we see Hyun Min talking to his father, Deoki, about the corpse. He tells his father that they did not need to keep the corpse, so he donated it to the science people, over which his father is angry as he likes his ancestors' possession to be kept away from other people. After researching the corpse, it is found that it has no injuries, but its fingernails are found broken and missing, which leads to the conclusion that they had been broken due to an external force. On the other hand, Soo-hee goes on a date with Jae-bom, who was also her senior in high school. Jae is a psychiatrist and knows about the flower dream that Soo-hee keeps on having. In the meantime, Choi, who was one of the workers present when the corpse was found, brings a letter to Deoki. After reading the starting lines, Deoki is shocked and tells the worker that this would only stay between the two of them. Later at night, Hyun Min is at the barn when all of a sudden he hears a noise. He ignores the noise, but he hears it again. He goes to check in there and to his surprise finds a man hanging from the ceiling. He looks if anyone is around, and when he looks back at the hanged man, he is gone. Somewhere else, Choi is hit by a car when he is checking out a ring that he had stolen from the corpse's finger. On the other hand, Deoki tries to read the whole letter to find where the name of the corpse is written, but upon checking the family tree he is unable to find it anywhere. The next day, Deoki visits the elder one of their family. He tells the elder about the letters, and both of them agree not to tell anyone about the letters because it could bring shame to the name of their family. After further research, it is found that the corpse is of a girl in her mid-20s and maybe she was kidnapped and left alone to die in the tomb. Later, Deoki goes to the lab where the research is taking place and tells them to give the corpse back to him so they could not uncover the truth about the corpse. When Soo-hee gets to know that the corpse is being forced to be taken by Hyun Min's father, she rushes to Hyun Min to try to convince him to keep the corpse a little bit longer because some tests were yet to be run on her. Upon visiting Hyun Min, Soo-hee gets introduced to his assistant Hannah. She finds a drawing of a flower on Hannah's table. It is later revealed that Hyun Min had drawn this flower using his imagination. When Soo-hee takes a closer look at the flower, it is the same flower that has been forming on her shoulder. Later, when Soo-hee and Hyun Min are having a quick look in the tomb, a brick falls on Hyun Min from which Soo-hee saves him. She later puts a bandage on his forearm because of the injury and gets him to talk about the tattoo. Hyun Min reveals that he had thought of getting the tattoo on a female as a part of showing affection and love. Late at night, Hannah is in the tomb taking pictures when suddenly she sees someone. It was Hyun Min's little brother, Min, who has returned to get funds from Deoki. At night, So-hee sees a dream about the flower again, and the flower is now completed. In the morning, she goes to the lab, and upon seeing the pictures of the corpse she notices a flower on her shoulder just like the one she has. She is now really confused and heads to the showroom where the corpse's belongings were kept. An expert tells Suzy that there was ink and pen beside the corpse and old writings were found. Soo-hee is confused about the pen and the ink present, so she visits the tomb again to find more evidence. Upon searching the tomb, she sees scratches on the wall which explains to her why the corpse's nails were broken. She later sees herself scratching the wall wearing some pink traditional clothes. And comes out of the vision when called by Hyun Min. Another day, Hyun Min shows up at the lab to take pictures of the corpse. A light stand falls on Hyun Min, but he is saved by Soo-hee again. Soo-hee later remembers that the person in her dream is Hyun Min and asks him if he has seen her in a dream or not. Hyun Min answers that he has never seen Soo-hee before. While the two are communicating, Jae-bom arrives and is jealous of Hyun Min talking with Soo-hee again and again. Later that night, Hyun Min again hears sounds in the barn and upon going inside sees someone hanging. In the morning, he goes to the hospital to visit a psychiatrist. Coincidentally, Jae-bom is to be found working at the same hospital. Jae uses his connections and shifts Hyun Min as his patient to know about what is going on. Jae-bom uses his skills and hypnotizes Hyun Min. Hyun Min then sees a woman who is trying to get out of a confined space. Upon hearing this, Jae lies to him that he had not seen anything important and that the procedure must have not worked on him. Jae doesn't want Hyun Min to build any connection with Soo-hee. Soo-hee gives a sample of her hair strand to the experts in the lab, telling them to check whether her DNA matches with the corpse or not. Soo-hee goes to the tomb again after knowing that the corpse and she had a perfect DNA match. Hyun Min finds Soo-hee sitting and approaches her. Soo-hee grabs him by his neck and tries to choke him but is stopped by Hyun Min's dad. Later, after realizing what she had done, she apologizes to Hyun Min and tells him that it was not her. Both Hyun Min and Soo-hee go to Choi to further dig into the corpse's mystery. Choi reveals that he has been recovering from an injury and that his wife has been sick. Later, he gives a ring to Hyun Min that he had stolen from the corpse. Hyun Min returns the ring to his father, telling him about what has happened to Choi and his wife. Both Hyun Min and Soo-hee visit the elder in the Hyun Min family, but the elder refuses to admit that he has seen any letters or writing and tells them to go away. Soo-hee later escapes two members that are sent by the elder to stop her from reaching the depths of the case. Soo-hee escapes from there and finds Hyun Min's younger brother, Min. Min tells her that he has the letters that she is looking for and can give her the letters if she gives him money for his business. After getting a hold of the letters, Soo-hee starts to read them. The scene then cuts to 200 years earlier when Soo-hee and Hyun Min were a happy couple. Soo-hee was kidnapped one day by a man but found a way to escape him. When she returned home, she was kicked out of the house by her mother-in-law for having sexual relations with a man. Hyun Min, after knowing what had happened, believed her that she did not have sexual relations with that man, but he could not go against his parents' decision to banish her from the house. He hid her in a tomb for several months and would come at night to spend time with her. Hyun Min also gave her a flower tattoo on her shoulder to show her how much she meant to him. One day, Soo-hee found out that Hyun Min was getting married again. Hyun Min promised to love her till his last breath, but the next day he seals the wall with concrete and wood. Soo-hee cries her eyes out for him to stop and even tries to break the wall, but in return, she loses her fingernails. Soo-hee, after she was unable to break the wall, wrote down a letter in which she told that her husband had committed a crime and vowed that she would never forgive him. Soo-hee, after reading the letter that she had written 200 years earlier, has tears in her eyes. She immediately called Hyun Min and tells him not to visit the tomb or meet her anymore. Hyun Min's father tried to go to the corpse and dispose of it but couldn't. Instead, he felt someone controlling his hand and he stabbed himself while Soo-hee was standing beside him. The police interrogated Soo-hee but found out through the CCTV cameras that Deoki had stabbed himself. Soo-hee later gives all the letters to Deoki and promises to never meet Hyun Min again. After a while, Hyun Min gets a hold of the letters and gets to know the truth. He also remembers that the person hanging in the barn is him. On the other hand, Soo-hee threatens Jae that his medical license could be cancelled because she found his notes. In his notes, he had lied to Hyun Min about his situation. In the meantime, Hana and Soo-hee are successful in finding the message behind an old box. In the meantime, Hyun Min visits the corpse of his wife in his past life. The corpse comes to life and tries to choke Hyun Min. Hyun Min does not resist because he knows he is at fault. All of a sudden, Soo-hee arrives and upon seeing the corpse being alive, she tells her about the message that Hyun Min left before hanging himself to death. The scene cuts to 200 years earlier where it is shown that Hyun Min's new wife finds out about Hyun Min going to serve his old wife in the tomb. Out of jealousy and anger, she tells her in-laws about her. Bound to follow the order, Hyun Min plasters the door shut, promising himself that he would set her free. After he comes back, Hyun Min is locked inside the barn. Being helpless, he writes a letter for Soo-hee in which he apologizes and then hangs himself to death. The corpse, after hearing the story, forgives her husband and is given a proper burial by Deoki. In the final scene of the movie, it is seen that both Hyun Min and Soo-hee from past life fall asleep holding each other. Stay tuned for the next video.